The biggest problem that we have right now in the criminal justice system, and I've got lots of biggest problems, right? It's a tie for first place. So bear with me when you hear me say this again some other time. But the biggest problem with the criminal justice system is that the prosecutors and the cops have become side pickers, and the defense lawyers stand in the position of being truth seekers. That is bizarre. We have outsourced truth seeking, gumshoe investigation. Yep. To the litigants themselves, to the accused. And the system can't absorb that because there is no interest that the public has in taxing themselves for paying for the defense of child molesters and domestic violence abusers. They come for your neighbor, they come for somebody else, and it's not until they come for your nephew or your son or your sister or your brother or for you that you realize how broken this system is and how you have to pay for it yourself. So instead of spreading out the burden across of everybody and decreasing the number of cases that get charged, which would decrease the burdens on the criminal justice system and save money in the long term, they'd rather just throw a little bit of water on the fire, and that's not enough, so you have to go hire your own fire department to put out the fire. Yep. So what does that mean? Well, that means now you've got to pay to save your life. So clients come to us, ask us, how much does it cost to do a case like this? And the answer is, how much do you have to spend? Tell me how much cash you have available, because cash purchases time and attention. Time and attention increases the likelihood of success if deployed properly, judiciously, and in the right systems. And if you only have X dollars, then this is our recommended line of attack, our recommended battle plan. If you only have 1/2 X dollars, here's what we recommend. What if I had 10X? Well, 10X, we could maybe do a couple other mock trials. We could maybe write that much more detail for trial. We could model our questions better. We could hire jury experts, and maybe that increases your odds from a 90% chance of winning to 92% chance of winning. And it's up to you to decide if that 2% is worth this much money. Well, how do you know it's a 2% chance of winning? I don't know. It's hocus pocus. I got a crystal ball, which is my pattern recognition based upon my training experience and all the cases I've seen. And when you throw these facts into this system, I think if I had 10 random juries doing 10 random jury trials, that I would always lose one out of bad luck. I'd always lose one because I had a bad day. And we're really just arguing about, another 8 out of 10 cases where the other side will lose once because of bad luck, once because of a bad day. So that's 4 cases just determined by circumstance. And then now you're talking about 6 random juries. What would 6 random juries do? You and I had that trial like a year and a half ago up in a very conservative county in this state where half the jury was woke feminists. And we told that story to one of the judges in there, and he was like, impossible. How can the grass seed capital of the world have a bunch of NPR drones? Well, they weren't actually NPR drones. The one NPR listening person performed very poorly in jury selection, but she was definitely interested in the truth, interested in learning. She just happened to always filter things through the prism that is a certain ideology. Yeah. But she was curious, and we left her on the jury. Why? Because someone else that looked better for us seemed less open-minded and thus not a fair juror, so we didn't want them to be a wild card, so we left them on. So we were left with 2 other seemingly bad demographic jurors for a domestic violence case, and the DA left on a domestic violence victim on the jury because, of course, that's going to be a great juror for her. And you and I were floored because that juror was our best juror, because her complaint was that she was a domestic violence victim and the cops and the DA didn't prosecute her domestic violence perpetrator, and she lost custody, and she had total trauma over the fact that the system let her down. Those people are brutal to liars. They do not tolerate misrepresentations of the truth because they know that someone that's telling the truth, their ability to access justice gets diluted by the liars out there. So the system right now, you've got to focus on who's your fact finder, who's listening to the evidence, and what you can do to potentially alter the outcome by either getting rid of the folks that aren't going to be good listeners, or by programming the folks to think like you want them to think by doing the correct jury selection during voir dire.
Exactly.